So, good afternoon, class. Today we're talking about supplements brought to you by the Sports Nutrition Boys. So, the supplements we'll be going over today is creatine, beetroot juice, and protein powders. First off, talk about creatine. We'll be talking about creatine monohydrate because that is the most commonly used supplement when using supplementation. What is creatine? It is a amino acid substrate. This is derived from methionine, arginine, and glycine. So that was a very basic understanding of what creatine monohydrate is. But creatine monohydrate has some pros and cons. Some pros, obviously, is that it's going to increase your lean body mass, which is in that athletic performance is something you want. It's also going to increase your strength and your muscular endurance, which again is going to help with your athletic performance. And believe it or not, studies have shown that creatine monohydrate also increases your brain function, especially if you look at one's memory. Another great thing about creatine monohydrate is that it's going to increase your lean body mass, but it's not going to increase any fat gain. So you're gonna gain weight obviously, but you're not gonna gain a whole lot of fat. It's gonna mainly be that lean body mass. Another great pro when it comes to creatine monohydrate is that you're gonna look swole. You're gonna obviously build that muscle, bulk up, you feel look jacked, which is what we all want. I think one of the most important pros when it comes to creatine is that it is a safe supplement. There's been numerous studies shown to disprove this, but again and again, this is one of the safest supplements when it comes to supplementation. And finally, another pro about this is that it is very fast acting. From the first couple of weeks when you're taking uh, creatine, you're going to see strength increase, you're going to see muscular endurance increase, and you are going to see that healthy weight gain of lean body mass. With that, creatine monohydrate does have some cons. It does cost money, and it is relatively a cheaper substance. However, it is recommended that you're going to take it every day, or you are going to take it every day is the correct way to take it. Whether you cycle it a couple months at a time, or you plan to take it chronically, and you can be taking it every day for a long time, that does add up, and it's something it's going to hurt the wallet a little bit. Another con about creatine monohydrate is when you're taking the supplement, you are going to experience weight gain. Although this weight gain is relatively healthy, it's going to be lean body mass. It still depends on what you're trying to train for. That extra weight could hinder your performance depending on what you're trying to perform at. And finally, another con about creatine monohydrate is that in order for it to work and be that fast acting and to look swole and get all those gains you really want, it does require you to stay relatively hydrated and also, work out a little bit to see those effects. How does someone take creatine monohydrate? So you do get this naturally through some red meats and seafood, mainly fish, because creatine is found in skeletal muscle. So when you consume that, you are going to get that naturally. However, the main way or to see results in it is you're going to do it through supplementation. So that's really going to put a lot of creatine monohydrate to start seeing gains. So when you start taking uh, creatine, you're going to do something called a loading phase. This is shown to be the most beneficial when you start uh, doing a cycle or start taking it for plan to take it chronically. So the first week when you take it, you can kind of overload your body with it by taking 20 grams per day, which is roughly 4 servings of creatine monohydrate just for the first week of your cycle or when you first start taking it. But then once you're on it, you're gonna do something called the maintenance protocol, the maintenance phase, which is you're going to take roughly 3 to 6 grams of creatine monohydrate per day, uh, every day to see the benefits. The amount you take relatively is relative to your size, so the bigger you are, the more you might need to take. So Yeah. So in conclusion, I talked about creatine, especially creatine monohydrate. I went over what it is, pros and cons, and how to do it through the doses. And overall, creatine monohydrate is a good supplement.
All right, so the second supplement that we're going to talk about is beetroot juice. And beetroots are rooted vegetables that contain the juice that can be taken as a juice, but there are also powders that can be made from it. And it contains potassium, foliate, vitamin C, but the main one for athletics wise is it's high in nitrate. And our body can convert the nitrate into nitric oxide, excuse me. And that the benefits that it has for athletics wise would be vasodilation of blood vessels and reduced muscle fatigue. And those are what is going to help the athlete in their performance. And we see that those specific effects help in anaerobic cardiovascular sports like hockey and soccer, mainly with sports that have a lot of endurance with it, but it's more intervaled. And so, yeah, that's where we see the main use of beetroot juice. So the pros and cons of it would be from vasodilation, reduced blood pressure, and an increase in oxygen and nutrient transport. So the vasodilation is going to help keep their blood pressure at a lower level. And because of this, it's going to have an increased oxygen and nutrient transport to the body, like the muscles. And then because of this, it's going to increase muscular efficiency and endurance, which is going to allow the athlete to perform at their best for longer than others. And then we would also see another pro would be flexibility between a powder or a juice. So that kind of gives the person taking a supplement a choice between the juice or the powder. So some cons of this would be reddish urine or stools. And then people that have kidney problems would also possibly see some troubles with this supplement because of the oxalates. And another possible con would be upset stomach, diarrhea, or nausea. And also the taste is not the greatest. All right. And then lastly, some of the recommendations when using it. The recommended dose would be 500 milligrams, and there's kind of varying opinions on when an athlete should supplement for this. Some would like to do it like a couple hours before their event, because nitrate usually takes about an hour to 3 hours to digest to get the benefits from it. But there's also the option of preloading, and that could be done 24 hours before, which would mean the dose, the lunch, and evening before their event. And then they could also supplement 3 hours before their event as well. It just kind of gives the body an opportunity to digest the nitrate the day before and hopefully increase the benefits for their event.
Okay, so the last supplement we'll be talking about is protein powder. So the most common form of protein powder used for athletes and bodybuilders is whey protein. Whey is one of the primary proteins found in dairy products. So it is natural. Some people say it's a unnatural thing. It is a natural product, which can be used or which is used in cheese production and milk production. So it is safe. Also, it is very easily soluble in water. Whey is also predominantly used by athletes because it contains the most amount of leucine, which is an amino acid, compared to other protein powders. And leucine is the main contributor to initiate the muscle building process. And in order for the muscle building process to take place, MPS or muscle protein synthesis needs to occur within the muscle fibers. And this happens when there's an influx of amino acids, leucine, and the MPS needs to outweigh muscle breakdown synthesis. So once that happens, then you'll be able to see an increase in your muscle mass. So why should someone take protein powder? Protein powder is used to stimulate muscle growth and repair. Some of the pros include protein powder contains high quality forms of protein. So for about whey protein, it's around 60 to 80% of pure protein, which is a good thing. It also, like I said previously, aids in muscle protein synthesis, which will improve strength, muscle size, and lean body mass. And there's also a convenience factor. Protein powder is very accessible, portable. You're not always around, a steak or chicken. So whenever you need that extra protein, protein powder is easily accessible. Some of the cons include lack of micro and macronutrients. So protein powder, like stated in its name, is predominantly protein. So you're missing out on those key macro and micronutrients. There's also little to none micronutrient or vitamins and minerals within protein powder. So you're missing out on that. It also can get very expensive. Protein powder is not cheap. So have that in mind when you're thinking about taking this supplement. And finally, there's no additional benefit over food consumption. This kind of goes back to my topic about macro and micronutrients. It's honestly more beneficial to consume just whole foods because you're more than likely going to obtain the adequate amount of protein within that meal, and you're also getting adequate amounts of micro and macronutrients within. So when should someone take protein powder? So for this presentation, I'm only going to be talking about gaining muscle through protein powder. There's also studies that have been shown that protein powder can help you lose weight, but these studies are inconclusive. So I won't go into that topic, but most people consume enough protein in their diet for normal bodily functions, what I was kind of saying earlier. You're probably going to get adequate amount of protein through just your normal diet. But if you want to gain more muscle mass, then this is when protein powder comes into play. So in order to do this, there needs to be two things to happen. You need to have resistance training plus an increase in muscle protein synthesis. Research shows that the average person can only absorb 1.6 grams per kilogram of body mass per day of protein. So once you exceed that 1.6 grams per kilogram of body mass of protein per day, then you just kind of hit this plateau. Your body cannot absorb anymore, and it just gets excreted out of the body. So there's no point of taking more than that. And then finally, should you drink protein shakes before or after workouts? This is still an ongoing debate. Some research points that you should take protein or consume protein 30 minutes after your workout to get into the anabolic window slot, which pretty much means that it's like your prime opportunity for your muscles to absorb the proper nutrients that it needs to achieve muscle hypertrophy. There's also research that shows that the anabolic window can last throughout the whole day. So it's still an ongoing debate, but at the end of the day, there's definitive evidence stating that resistance training is still the leading cause of muscle hypertrophy. So as long as you're consuming, your adequate amount of protein, about 1.6 grams per kilogram per day of protein, and you're on a consistent resistance training regimen, then you should be able to see gains in the weeks to come.
All right, so today we talked about a couple of supplements. We talked about creatine monohydrate, beetroot juice, and protein powder. Here are our very informative and loyal references. Thanks for coming to our presentation brought to you by the Nutrition Boys.